wrestling fans, and welcome to the One Wing Wrestling Podcast, where two wrestling elitists discuss or review AEW events and wrestling news from around the world. At One Wing Wrestling, our motto is, we go where the elite go. I'm your host, Krishna and today I'm doing this solo. That's right. Bill Cupish cannot make it today. He has other things to do. So that means I am running this entire show all by myself. Now, I know what you're thinking. Is this show going to be better than all the other shows that they normally do? The answer is 100% correct. I've got this show and I can do whatever I want with it. So, first off, before I get into the show itself, as you may or may not know, what we do here at One Wing Wrestling is we provide our thoughts and our expectations for the upcoming events. Tonight's event is Fyter Fest Night 2, I should say. I guess it's night 2, technically night 3. You know what? It's Fyter Fest on Dynamite night 2. So I'm going to go through it. I'm going to provide my predictions, my expectations. I'll let you know whether or not I think the matches are going to be good, if they're going to be bad, and potentially the match of the night. Then I'm going to go away. I'm going to watch the show. I'll return here. It'll seem almost like I was never gone at all. And most importantly, I'm going to provide you my reactions to all of the matches that we have tonight. And the most important thing is I will let you know if any show was able to reach that all-important Omega level. Now, normally, this is where I say, can any show with Kenny Omega ever reach Omega level status? But tonight, I got some juicy news for you guys. So without wasting any more time, let's get right into keeping up with the elite. Now, just so everyone's aware, I might be maybe a Kenny Omega fan. Some may call me a Kenny Omega fanboy, maybe a fanatic. Basically, I think Kenny Omega is the greatest thing to ever happen to professional wrestling. Again, just my opinion. That being said, let's get into keeping up with the elite. So normally in keeping up the elite, we'll provide you any type of updates when it comes to any of the elite members and any type of news that may be affecting the elite. So first off, I'm going to get this out of the way right away is there has been a slight update on Adam Cole and his injury. So for anyone who doesn't know, he has a torn labrum and he's suffering a concussion. Britt Baker was on I believe a podcast recently where she said he's recovering, he's doing fine. However, he does still need some time. So again, Adam, get well soon. Hopefully we see you sooner than later. But you know what? If you need the time, just take it. So that was the only update for Adam Cole. But here's the big update. Here is the one we've been waiting for. So Fightful Select and Dave Meltzer have all reported on Kenny Omega's return to the ring, which has gone from sometime in the future to imminent. This means Kenny Omega may be showing up very, very shortly on AEW TV. What does this mean for AEW? Well, for me, this means everything. I've been waiting almost a year to see Kenny Omega wrestle. This is going to be amazing. This actually makes a lot of sense to what happened last week with the Young Bucks because they dropped their belts and everyone was kind of expecting a Young Bucks FDR, match for all the belts. And then suddenly the Bucks dropped their belt to Swerve in Our Glory, which was kind of unexpected. I love that match, but just seemed kind of odd. But as we know, Tony Khan has been really pushing for trios belts. And he said he would not add a trios championship until Kenny Omega returned. And if this is true and Kenny's returning very shortly, this is great news. So it looks like for All Out September 4th that there may be a 6-man tag team for the belts. Now, what does this mean? Does it mean that it's going to be Kenny Omega and the Bucks versus, another trios tag team, like maybe the Undisputed Elites? We don't know. None of this information has been released. This is all speculation. I am just thoroughly excited. Just hearing that Kenny Omega is coming back, this has made my week. This has made my month so far. So I am so extremely happy that Kenny's coming back. Where it goes from here, I've heard rumors here and there about Kenny and where he's going to fit into this trios tag team. Now, I do want Kenny to tag with the Bucks. However, for anyone who's been watching Being the Elite recently, you can see that the Bucks are trying to reconcile with Adam Page. Yeah, Hangman. So I'm not sure what's happening here. So will it be the Bucks and Adam Page versus Kenny and two other opponents? Like I'm just trying to figure out how they're going to do this. One source, and I'm saying source as if it's my source, one person on the internet kind of said, well, what if it's Kenny and the Good Brothers? I hate that idea. I'm not a big fan of the Good Brothers. I've never have been. But I mean, if that's the sacrifice I have to make to get Kenny back, I am willing to make that sacrifice. So I'm just happy Kenny's coming back. It's going to be any time now. Like if we're thinking that it's going to be for September 4th, we have a month. That's basically a month and a bit away. Kenny can show up at any time to kind of fuel that card. So I am so happy for this. In other news, that kind of involves Kenny Omega, and not really kind of, this really does involve Kenny Omega. Will Ospreay this weekend had a match for Rev Pro where he actually did the one-winged angel on his opponents. Now, he pinned his opponent, but right before the 3 count, he actually raised his opponent's arm so that the opponent kind of kicked out. So he did this basically mocking Kenny Omega because nobody kicks out of the one-wing angel. So I'm very excited to see where this storyline goes because Kenny Omega versus Will Ospreay may be the match of the century at this point, and I am in it for all of it. So that's my news update today. It's all Kenny, and honestly, it's all we needed to know. Kenny Omega is on his way back. So moving away from Kenny, let's get into the actual card for tonight. So the Dynamite card, and again, this is Dynamite Night 2 Fyter Fest, is a bit, I don't even know if I should call it stacked, but there are quite some matches on here. Let's start off with Chris Statlander, Athena, and Willow versus Jade Cargill, Kara Hogan, and Layla Gray. My thoughts on this match is I feel that it's going to be good. There are some good wrestlers here, like Chris Statlander and Athena, very good wrestler, and Kara Hogan as well. I just don't know how much of this match I'm actually going to enjoy. I feel like the whole baddies persona or baddies group, I should say, that Jade kind of runs with is just not for me. It doesn't really hit. I'm surprised that the crowd isn't booing as much as they should be. And I get it. Jade is the bad guy, so it makes sense that they boo, but I just don't think this match is going to be that great. I think it might be good. Like I'm hoping it surprises me. That's all I want. I want the AEW women's division to just shock me and put on some great matches, and then just have me say, you know what, they're really contenders. Like we're not just wasting anyone's time here. I really want them to prove that to me, but honestly, I haven't gotten that so far. Like a handful of matches maybe, but I really don't have that much faith in this match. Next up, we've got the Varsity Blondes versus Christian Cage and Luciosaurus. Now, Christian Cage, as we've discussed in the past few weeks, fantastic. Like, he is the biggest heel that AEW has at the moment. Again, MJF who? Exactly. So I am looking forward to this match, not necessarily for the match itself. I'm just very curious on what Christian Cage is going to say. You know, anything can come out of this guy's mouth by now, and I am very excited for this. Now, the Varsity Blondes, very, very talented wrestlers. I think very good. Obviously, they need someone to work with, and this is really good. Seeing now that Jungle Boy's out, they can work with Christian Cage and Lucius, maybe have like a little feud go on for a while until Jungle Boy comes back for the save. But for this match, I think it's going to be a good match. I think, you know what, it's going to be obviously Christian Cage and Lucius winning, but I think the Blondes are going to put up a fight. I think it's going to be a bit of an exciting match, but I think it's just going to be good. I don't think it's going to be great. I don't think it's going to be a mega level or anything like that. I just think it's going to be good. So moving on, we've got the Best Friends versus Moxley and Yuda. Now, I like the Best Friends. I really do. Like since since Chuck Taylor's returned, these guys have been fantastic. They're so hilarious. I just love to see their antics. Like, for example, last week trying to help Orange Cassidy cheat. That was funny as heck. But they're going up against Moxley and Yuda. Moxley and Yuda ain't losing this match. This is going to be an interesting match. I'm not sure what Moxley and Yuda versus the Best Friends is actually going to bring. I think this match is going to be really good. But again, I don't think it's going to be a match of the night. And I'm having an issue right now with the card as it is. And Bill had this issue last week and the week before. choosing a match that might be match of the night. I'm hopefully that something surprises me, but I'm having a bit of trouble at this moment choosing something. But let's go through the remaining matches and let's see if something sticks out to me. Next up, we've got Brody King versus Darby Allin. Now, this match may actually be the match to kind of steal the show. I'm predicting this match might steal the show. Now, we have Brody King, who faced Jon Moxley for the interim championship and lost. But the way he got there was he defeated Darby Allin in that eliminator tournament. Now, Darby Allin, the way that he lost that match was brutal. Brody King literally held him in a chokehold out of the ring and then just dropped his lifeless body. It was one of the most insane spots I have actually seen in a long time. But why am I surprised? This is Darby Allin we're talking about. So I'm thinking this match may steal the night. And I'm hesitating in choosing it as my match of the night, but I'm going to go on a limb here. And I'm going to say this match might steal the show. This match might be my match of the night. So I'm putting down right now this match for my match of the night. Now we get to the main event, the barbed wire everywhere death match, where basically it's going to be Kingston versus Jericho with the entire Jericho Appreciation Society in a shark cage suspended above the ring. This is sports entertainment. So this is absolutely hilarious. Now, the match itself, I am not a fan of these like barbed wire death match things. It's just not for me. I kind of sometimes just want to see like the wrestling. It's you know what, but you know what? I mean, I fully understand that there are people out there who like this. So you know what? If this is for you, then I'm great. I'm happy you're getting a great match tonight. But for me, I'm not a big fan of Eddie Kingston's wrestling. I never have been. I love his promos. I love the guy. You can't hate Eddie Kingston. But I have been very impressed with Chris Jericho's wrestling recently. Like, we know Chris Jericho is great on the mic, but his wrestling has really improved ever since like he slimmed down. He looks great. Like, he looks absolutely fantastic. So I'm hoping this match is really good. And I think it actually will be really good. But again, when you're fighting against Kingston, I don't think this can be called match of the night. I'm hopeful, but I don't think I can actually choose this as my match of the night. So we'll see. Again, I really want to be proved wrong for anything I've said tonight. Well, not for the ones that I'm actually positive about, but for the obviously the negative ones. But I'm hoping that we have a really good show. Who knows? Maybe there may be surprises, maybe not. But I'm not going to get my hopes up for that. I'm already excited that Kenny's coming back eventually. So that's the Dynamite card. So I'm going to go watch it and I will be back. And I'm back. Well, that was Dynamite. I thought it was a pretty good show. Actually, I should caveat that by saying I may be still on the Kenny Omega returning high, but I thought overall the show was pretty good. So let's just get right into it. So first off, we started with Brody King versus Darby Allin, the grudge match, as they called it. This match started as expected. Darby throwing his body at King, but at one point he throws his body at King and King just catches him and just starts tossing him at every barrier he could find. So every metal barrier he could find outside, he just kept throwing Darby at those. He then kind of like one hand choked Darby up against the ring post and was just throwing Darby around. He grabbed him by his shorts at one point and just swung him around like Cesaro would normally do his swings and just threw Darby right out of the ring. Now, Darby did get some offense. At one point, he tied up King's legs, I guess, with his belt and kind of pulled King out. It was very brief, pulled him out and kind of just started to like beat him up a little bit. But once again, King being the big guy just overpowered him. Darby jumped on King's back, but King just did one of his running cannonballs against the posts. That was pretty brutal. And at the end, King won with a Gonzo bomb. Now, after the win, this is a pretty dominant win. He started to continue beating down Darby Allin. Sting then showed up. Sting started to race to the ring to kind of obviously help his friend. The lights went out. Malachi showed up. They both started beating up Sting, and they actually did beat up Sting. When all of a sudden, Miro's music hit. Miro came out. Miro stood at the entrance, kind of, and he had sunglasses on. Now, the sunglasses looked like they were protecting some black scarring around Miro's eyes. So Miro didn't attack the Malachi and Brody. He just stood there and watched them. And in the ring, we saw Malachi with a smirk on his face. So does this mean that Miro's joining the House of Black? We don't know, but they've set up a storyline here. The match itself, I thought it was great. I thought the match did what it needs to. Each person got to shine a bit in this match. Now, obviously, Brody King dominated this match, but when you look at what Darby Allin went through, sometimes I wonder, like this guy, he needs to stop taking these bumps because they are brutal. Like he can really injure himself. So it was a bit scary. But Brody King at the end, he was just way too big for Allin. You have to give Darby Allin credit for going up against a guy of like 3 times his size. And overall, great match. I had so much fun. I thought that Brody and Allin shine, and you know what? It was a really, really good match. So moving on, we then moved on to the Best Friends versus Mox and Yuda. In the pre-show, I kind of said, well, you know what? I don't know if this match is going to be for me. Like I kind of said that I'm not really a big fan of Mox's wrestling, and I like Yuda, but he's not one of my favorite people. And the Best Friends, I like them, but again, not my favorite people in the wrestling ring right now. I would like to take that back. This match was great from the beginning. Actually, before we even get into the match, just to point out that Orange Cassidy and William Regal were on commentary. William Regal just adding as much color as he could to the matches, like basically calling out Orange Cassidy for everything. And Cassidy just kind of sitting there and saying, whatever, who cares? It's kind of funny. It did its job. But the match itself, so as the match started off with just Trent versus Mox. They started throwing shots. This is what I expected. I'm like, okay, these guys are throwing shots, but the shots looked like they were hitting hard. So once that happened, then Yuda and Chuck did some mat wrestling for a bit. Now, this is where Trent tagged himself in, and a fight broke out between Yuda and Trent. Now, just going back a couple months when Trent came back from his injury and Yuda was part of the Best Friends, Trent kept questioning who let this guy in, who told this guy he could be the Best Friends, right? So that kind of storyline played out where these guys were just attacking each other. They're like literally having a fight to the point where at one point Trent gets the upper hand and he starts just absolutely destroying Yuda to the point where Chuck actually jumped in and tried to break up the fight. He's like, you have to stop. But then Yuda ends up just crushing Chuck across the face, knocking him out. Chuck gets up, he starts attacking Yuda, and they both start, like Trent and Chuck just start beating up Yuda, throwing him into the barricades outside. Obviously, Mox comes in for the save, but the attack was pretty vicious when Trent was hitting Yuda, so it made sense that Chuck came in to break it up. The match continued with some really, really good tag team moves by the Best Friends. They were basically singled out Yuda. They're beating him down. At one point, Trent jumped up to the second rope and jumped off about to hit Moxley. Moxley caught him with a cutter, which I have never seen Moxley do. Pretty well executed. It looked pretty awesome. I kind of feel like everyone in AEW does the cutter, aka the RKO, and they do it really, really well. So great move. This is where things got kind of crazy, where Yuta took 2 back-to-back pile drivers, and I was like, okay, the match is over, but he kicked out. At one point, I thought, okay, Moxley's going to come in for the save, but Yuta did this really odd kind of roll up. It wasn't the surprise roll up. It was this odd roll up where it was almost as if he was doing the Christian finisher, but put Chuck into a pin. And the ref counted 1, the ref counted 2, the ref counted 3, and Yuta picked up the win. So overall, this match way better than I expected. I actually really, 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 really enjoyed this match. One of the top matches of the night. And honestly, like I'm looking at the other matches before I continue. And to be completely honest, I actually really, really love this match. I thought, you know what? I'm going to go out on a limb here. And I'm going to say that this match was my match of the night. It had everything I wanted. Bill was right that, it's that Mox and Yuta are amazing and Best Friends, but we know they're amazing as well. But I thoroughly enjoyed this match, and this was my match of the night. Next up, we had a celebration. So Tony Schiavone was in the ring, And he was then joined with Swerve in Our Glory. So Swerve Strickland and Keith Lee. So they came out, they did the whole babyface thing where they were like, they're so happy. They're thanking the fans for helping them win. They're thanking each other. Apparently there was a rapper in the audience who they knew who was they kind of promoting his album as well. But hey, you know what? It did its job. Of course, we know there was going to be some type of interruption. I didn't expect who the interruption was from, but I guess it made sense as well. So out came Smart Mark Sterling and Tony Nese. They came out because Mark Sterling is trying to get signatures to get not Keith Lee, because Mark Sterling is trying to get signatures to get Swerve Strickland kicked out of AEW. And he said the last signature was going to come from the rapper. So he got in the rapper's face. There was a cake near the ring as well, where Tony Nese kind of walked up and put his finger into the cake and was tasting the icing. And Swerve was like, "You can't do that. You can't do this at all." So Sterling went up to the rapper. He obviously the rapper refused to sign the petition. So Tony Nese got in the rapper's face, and of course Tony Nese got knocked out. And then Mark Sterling turned around and Swerve hit him with the cake, and that was the end of the segment. It was basically, let's embarrass Mark Sterling and Tony Nese, but let's put over the tag champions, which they did, and the crowd was absolutely loving it. So we then shot back to backstage where the Butcher and the Blade were with John Silver and Alex Reynolds. For some reason, John Silver and Alex Reynolds were trying to give the Butcher and Blade t-shirts, but the t-shirt they wanted to give the Butcher was a t-shirt that said Butch, and then they revealed the actual Blade t-shirt. It also said Butch on it. So a beatdown occurred where the Butcher and Blade just started beating down the Dark Order. Hangman flew in for the save, which was kind of weird, and then everything just kind of stopped. So Butcher and Blade were gone. Really weird, but Hangman came in for the save. Pretty funny segment. Again, we had John Silver sporting a Backstreet Boys t-shirt, which I laughed out loud for. But yeah, again, just comedy in the back room, and I really enjoyed it. The next match was Christian Cage and Luciosaurus versus the Varsity Blondes. Now, I thought that this match was not going to be a squash match because I really do like the Varsity Blondes. Like, I think Griff Garrison and Brian Pillman Jr. are actually very, very talented wrestlers. They did get in some moves. So the match starts and basically Christian tags in Luciosaurus, who goes after Brian Pillman Jr. And then Griff Garrison comes in. They both kind of get some moves on Luciosaurus, but they can't even knock him down. Like, he's just that strong. He picks up Griff Garrison and he choke slams him onto Brian Pillman's back. Christian tags himself in and gets the pin. Now, this is where Luciosaurus then puts Christian on his shoulders to celebrate, just like how he did with Jungle Boy in the past. But all of a sudden, Jungle Boy's music hits. The crowd absolutely explodes when they hear Jungle Boy's music hitting. Now, part of me thought, because when the music hit, like, no one was coming out, I'm like, is this Christian just like basically trolling the audience? But nope, it was not. Jungle Boy walks out, chair in hand. He's not stupid. He knows it's going to be 2 against 1. He walks to the ring, not saying anything. Luchasaurus stops him at the actual ramp. They stare off at each other for a second. Jungle Boy grabs the chair. He looks like he's about to hit Luchasaurus, but Luchasaurus then turns around and stands behind Jungle Boy. So it looks like him and Jungle Boy are still friends. I mean, we never really understood why Luchasaurus really did turn his back on Jungle Boy, or I shouldn't say turn his back. He sided with Christian. Jungle Boy then chased Christian really through the arena and just chased him out past the fans, and that kind of cut off. But I kind of feel like if it is going to be Jungle Boy versus Christian, does this mean that Luchasaurus may actually turn on Jungle Boy during the actual match itself? That may happen. But anyways, a little confusing. Again, I did the match itself for Luchasaurus and Christian versus Griff Garrison, or I should say the Varsity Blondes. It was a really good match. Again, I did hope that it went on a little bit longer, but you know what? I mean, it did its job. It was a squash match, which I didn't really want, but it wasn't bad in any way. And I really did enjoy this. So, you know what? Good job. It kind of continues the story. Just poor Griff and Brian. Like, I kind of want you guys to have like a really good feud, like a long feud with someone. And who knows, maybe it is going to be helping out Jungle Boy in the future. But overall, it did its job. Quick match, and it was pretty good. We then jumped backstage with the Gun Club. Now, the Gun Club, and this is Austin Gunn specifically, we're kind of advising they're not going to accept the wrestling match that the Acclaimed wants against them. However, Austin Gunn said instead they're going to have a rap battle on Rampage. So we're not getting a wrestling match, we're getting a rap battle. So this is, I'm assuming, more sports entertainment. But hey, you know what? I'm not going to hate on this because I haven't seen it yet. I just think Max Caster is fantastic on the mic. And I think the Guns are doing a good job of just being those, you love to hate them heels. So I'm again, just excited to see what comes out of this one. Next up, we had newcomer Cole Carter versus Ricky Starks for the FTW title. Now, Cole Carter is actually from, I want to say, NXT. I've never seen him wrestle. He wrestled under another name, but this is his first match in AEW. I must say that the crowd was definitely not behind Carter. They love their Ricky Starks, and I love Ricky Starks as well. Every move that Carter hit, there were boos from the crowd, and everything Ricky did, there were so many cheers. So it starts off quick with Carter firing at Starks. There's a quick crossbody from the top rope. Again, the crowd booed. Carter does a pretty nice cutter, which, again, as I said, AEW, all we do are cutters here, but they're fantastic. But he actually misses our 450 splash, which looked really good. With that miss, he gets spared by Ricky Starks. The match is over. Match was fun. It did its job. It was really good, kind of pushing this. Again, do we really need the FTW title? No, but I guess Ricky has it, so we have to do something with it. So after the match, Ricky says, you know what? I'm in a good mood. I'll put a challenge out. Anyone in the back room, let's do this right now. So Danhausen came out, and the crowd goes wild for Danhausen. He always seems like he's lost in his promos. So Danhausen says, I'm going to challenge for this title. And Ricky, being caught off surprise because someone accepted it, said, hey, I didn't say I was going to do it now. I'm saying next week. So next week on Dynamite, we have Danhausen versus Ricky Starks for the FTW title. Shenanigans are going to happen. So I'm not a big fan of where this is going, but hey, it is what it is. The fans love it, but just not for me. Next up, Tony Schiavone was in the ring, and he was having an interview with FTR. Cash actually started talking first, and he said, they'll never get used to the pop and the ovation of the fans. Like, these guys have been around for such a long time, and they've never been pushed the way they've been pushed right now in AEW, and they're loving it. And these guys are like FTR, amazing. Then Dax takes over. And again, you have to remember, this is a promo, obviously, for Death Before Dishonor. So they're trying to hype the match against the Briscoes as much as they can. So Dax tells a story about a 5-year-old girl who found out that she had a hole in her heart. Now, the doctors had told this young woman, or this young girl, I should say, that, she had to basically fight. Like, she had to believe that, things were going to get better. She had to take care of herself. She had to do all these different things. And if she couldn't do them, then the worst case scenario, they'd have to do open heart surgery. Can you imagine 5 years old and this is what you're getting told? It was absolutely heartbreaking. Now, Dax goes, well, 3 years later, the girl goes back to the hospital, goes back to the doctor, and the hole is gone. Why? Because she fought so hard. Dax continues, and this girl is Dax's daughter. The crowd went absolutely insane. Absolutely insane. I even popped for this. I was like, this is amazing. What a great story. So Dax finishes off like this Saturday. He's going to fight like an 8-year-old girl. So out of context, if someone had heard that, they'd be like, what? That doesn't make any sense. But in context, this was one of the best promos FTR has done, and it's real life, drawing from real life. So I'm cheering for FTR. Everyone's cheering for FTR, and FTR FTW. So for the win. We then jump backstage from a great promo to a promo with Jay Lethal, Satnam Singh, and Sanjay Dutt. Again, they're just building the match against Samoa Joe on Saturday. They kept talking until Christopher Daniels showed up and basically defending Samoa Joe. He challenged Jay Lethal to a match on Rampage, and that was it. So it was quick. Again, I really don't care for this because after such a great promo in the ring, they jump back to this nonsense. And I'm like, I'm over this. Can we just have this match already? And then we can move on. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to move on. Next up, as Bill normally puts it, it's the 9:30 hour. So we have Jade Cargill and Kiera Hogan minus Layla Gray because she was unable to compete against Athena and Willow Nightingale. Now, Jade Cargill and Kara Hogan came out with Jermaine Dupri, and I was like, where am I? Is this the 90s? Like, what is going on right now? So the match starts, and I must admit, I was actually pretty impressed with this match. So the match starts, Kira Hogan and Athena start, and wow, what an exchange back and forth. Like these two, you can tell they've been wrestling for a while. I hate when I see all these like botches and missteps in the women matches and how slow they are. But this match was really fast and it was very, very entertaining. So again, starts off with a great exchange between Hogan and Athena. Willow Nightingale, again, surprising me. She's really good. They do double teams to Hogan. Again, Hogan was taking the brunt of all of these things. The smart move by AEW, keeping Jade out for a while, because again, we know that Jade is probably the least experienced wrestler here. There was a slight botch. There was a botch by Athena and Hogan. However, they recovered it, and it looked really, really good. It was a power bomb to the outside ring, but when Kira Hogan jumped on Athena first, they missed the actual ring, so they had to kind of make do another move, and they actually pulled it off at the end. But again, they recovered so quickly, whereas most people probably wouldn't. And finally, of course, Jade gets the hot tag. At the end, Jade pins Willow Nightingale with her move. No loss for Nightingale. Like she is actually getting a really good push here. Athena, nothing on her. And yeah, like I must say, this was a great match. I had a lot of fun. So AEW, if these are the women matches you're going to have, keep it up. You guys are doing a good job now. We then jumped backstage with Thunderstorm. So Thunder Rosa and Toni Storm. So Thunder Rosa announced that she's actually having a fight next week with Yamishita. That's the woman she had lost to, I believe, in Japan a couple of weeks back. So their grudge match will continue next week at Fight for the Fallen. And that's when they were interrupted by Britt and Jamie Hayter. Britt kind of saying that, can we not have any more Thunder Rosa promos? I can't disagree with her because really they're not the greatest. But they then said, we're going to give everyone what they need. And we're going to give them some Britt and Hayter. So apparently on the Rampage, Britt Baker and Jamie Hayter are going to have a match. And that's it. Not much more to say on that. Our last match and main event was Jericho versus Kingston with the JAS in a shark cage. Sports entertainment at its finest. Now, this was the barbed wire everywhere match. And it's funny because even Justin Roberts had his mic wrapped in barbed wire. So they were not joking. It was barbed wire everywhere. So it was funny watching the JAS getting to the shark cage because Jake Hager looked like he was afraid of heights. He definitely did not want to get in that cage. So the match starts. Now, before the match starts, we have to remember that Ruby Soho is outside holding, I guess, the controls for the shark cage to lower and raise. I don't know why she was given the controls. Anyways, let's get past that. So anyways, Kingston attacks Jericho immediately and makes him bleed. Like he just attacks him with Justin Roberts' mic. He's bleeding. He's already bleeding. Jericho hits Kingston with the barbed wire wrapped bell. So again, everything wrapped in barbed wire. Jericho does a hurricanrana from the top rope to Kingston onto a table covered with barbed wire. Kingston was actually stuck in the barbed wire. There was a point where Aubrey Edwards was trying to pull the barbed wire out of his back. It was disgusting, but hey, they were using real barbed wire. Jericho put the walls of Jericho on Kingston while he was on the table as well. Then Jericho was then suplexed. So basically Kingston suplexed Jericho outside the ring onto a table with barbed wire. And this is, again, they went back and forth, both bleeding. And this is where Ruby Soho, who was controlling the shark cage, controls themselves, was attacked by Ty Conti. She came out, she started attacking her. And then Anna Jay came out. So Anna Jay came out looking like she was about to stop Ty. But in a huge heel turn for Anna Jay, she attacked Ruby Soho as well. So I guess Anna Jay is now heel. Good, because you know what? Her and Ty were better together anyways. So they released it to the Jericho Society. Now, people are going to complain, oh, well, Ty Conti went to open up the shark cage, which was locked, and she couldn't open up the lock because apparently he had some issues. But the Jericho Appreciation Society were able to jump out of the actual cage themselves. Like clearly the shark cage wasn't protecting them from getting out. So anyway, they jumped out. A fight broke out. They attacked Kingston, but of course, then reinforcements came out to help Eddie, and basically cleared out the ring. So back in the ring, Jericho and Eddie still fighting. Eddie hits Jericho with his backhand, and he looks like he's about to win when out of nowhere, Sammy Guevara showed up. Sammy hits Kingston. Jericho then had a barbed wire wrapped around him. He then hit Kingston with the Judas effect, pinned him 1, 2, 3. Match over. Kingston loses. Jericho wins. So kind of weird. I really did think that Kingston was going to win this match, but hey, who knows? Maybe there'll be another match down the road. Though Jericho did say this is the last match; they can't keep going. After the match, Kingston again brawls with Jericho and throws him into this box filled with barbed wire. So that was kind of insane. Apparently, after the show, they had to stretcher Jericho out just because, obviously, sports entertainment. Everyone, they need to show that Kingston did so much damage to him. Overall, I did enjoy this match. It was way better than the blood and guts. Yeah, way better than blood and guts. Like it was controlled. It looked painful. Jericho, you're over 50. Why are you doing this to your body? It's amazing. But still, come on, man, give yourself a break. Blood and Guts was only like a couple of weeks back. But overall, I really enjoyed this match. I thought this was fantastic. I'm really shocked to say that the tag team match earlier was my match for the night. This one came pretty close, but overall, I mean, the tag match was just so much better. So that was Dynamite. And yeah, I had a fun time watching Dynamite this week. Had some great matches. Did anything meet the Omega level? No, it did not. But I think the news we got this week met and exceeded the Omega level. The only thing that would have been even better is if Kenny returned this week. So before we close off, I'm going to give my thought of the night. And my thought is I am super excited because Kenny is coming back and it is imminent. That's right. The Great One is coming back very shortly. And so with that, let's close it off like the Great One always does. Goodbye, mwah, and good night, bang.